Welcome to the Paranormal Romance panel. I'm Anastasia Wilde. Other people know me as Lauren, so if you know me by that, it's, my alter ego. But we're really happy you're here today, especially because everybody's exhausted, right? Who's exhausted? Everyone. Right, okay. But hopefully we'll keep you awake for a little longer. The first thing I'm going to do is ask everyone to just quickly introduce yourselves, say how many books you've written and what kind of paranormal romance. Give us an approximation. And tell us why you love paranormal romance.
Oh, great. Hi, everyone. So my name is Stephanie Hudson, and I write I'm better known for the Afterlife saga, or the Afterlife world. I've written 40 books, and they're pretty much all in the same world. So even though it's kind of different spin-off of different series, so I have everything from vampire kings to demons and angels and pretty much everything in between. So I like to include a lot of mythology and a lot of real history and give a supernatural twist to it. So yeah, that's me.
We got one. Yeah. Hi, I'm Holly Roberds. I'm best known for my Vegas Immortals trilogy. I have approximately 12-ish books out, but the first series wasn't to market, so we don't talk about those babies. And I love paranormal romance because reality sucks, and I feel having that sense of separation and fantasy makes things and different subject matters much more palatable.
I like it. Hi, I'm Aidy Award, and I write curvy girl romance, all with shifters. And I think I'm writing book number 50 right now. I'm bad at math. And I like paranormal romance because it's what I like to read. If you went to Becca Syme's talk on archetypes, I'm an evergreen. I write what I like to read.
Okay, and I introduced myself, but I also write shifter romance. I just published my 30th book in September. And I love paranormal romance because I love magic. I honestly believe that there's magic in the world, but if there isn't, I want there to be, so I put it there. And also because I'm really lazy about research, and I really like that I can make a lot of stuff up. So, okay, for everybody out there, I want to get an idea of who we have out there, so I'm just going to ask for a little show of hands. Are there authors out here who haven't published yet? Okay, we have a few. And people have published 1 to 5 books? Okay, 5 to 10? Ooh, good. More than 10? Wow. Excellent. Okay.
Yeah, baby.
So we're going to try to give you something for everybody. And so one of the things we want to talk about, since everybody wants to sell books, right? We're going to talk about sort of how we leveled up from one sort of level of sales or income to the next. So the first question I want to ask everybody on the panel, what advice would you give someone just starting out to write paranormal romance today? And is it different from when you started?
Okay, so I started, I wrote 12 years ago my first book, and I brought I self-published after spending 2 years trying to get traditionally published, and nobody wanted to know. You fools. So I self-published. I was a struggling waitress at the time, and I couldn't pay my bills, and I was going on maternity leave, and thought, now is the time to do it. So I had time to dedicate towards it, and I could afford to do it. Thankfully, by the time I published my first book, and I had already written 2 with the third halfway done, so I I kind of rapid released before that was a thing. Before I knew it, I just literally wanted to get my books out there and earning enough money so I didn't have to go back to waitressing, which thankfully I did. I became an Amazon bestseller in the first 3 months, so I was very lucky in that sense. But it was very different back then because, you know, KDP was, you know, still new and exciting, and it's still exciting, but I didn't have as much competition as today. So I was lucky in the sense that, you know, I started earning enough money to be able to do it full time and be a stay-at-home mum at the same time, which was fun, juggling that. But the difference is I kind of boomed in 2015, and I rode that free wave of, you know, social media, and then my sales started to decline, and that's when we started to look into, you know, ads on Facebook and things like that, and remarketing the covers, and you know, just trying to stay current. And yeah, that's it. It kind of gone up from there and took me to earning a very good wage to an even better wage. So yeah.
So what's your best advice for
Oh, sorry. I always forget about the last section. I really love horror, by the way. That was my answer to the one that I missed before. I have squirrel syndrome, I swear. It's, yeah, so. Yeah, it's a paranormal romance thing, right? It's, yeah, so, sorry, what was your question? I'm so sorry. I'm so bad at this. I think my advice for starting now is to do your research. You know, if you're writing paranormal romance, chances are you really love reading paranormal romance. But if, say, I was talking to a lady earlier that was crossing over from a different genre that she usually writes, and what was her advice for paranormal romance? And I would say do your research. I mean, you know, read the top 10 in you know, that kind of category. You know, look at their front covers, look at their blurbs. I'm not saying copy, you know, obviously put your own spin on it, but just see, you know, give yourself a good idea of what is popular and what works and what you think doesn't work. And like I said, make it your own, but still do your research would be my, yeah, and believe in yourself is always my thing.
To jump off that, I definitely had reinvent the wheel syndrome when I started, and that's dumb. It's not dumb, but like, again, we're learning tropes, people come in for certain things, and I was trying to be too clever, and the more I've leaned into giving readers what they want and less putting pressure on myself to be the most original thing, the better it's all gotten. It feels so much better. I would say also progress, not perfection. I actually really wish, so when I have a full series out that is not to market, and I didn't market it until after most of the books had been out, and I actually wish I had started marketing immediately, because I love marketing because it talks back and it goes, don't do that. And it goes, ooh, we like that. And I learned from that. So I remember when I first started doing Facebook ads, I would try to pull out chunks of text, you know, scenes that would grab readers. And I'm like, oh my God, I write not tight enough at all. I don't write, I'm like, well, they have to read the whole chapter to understand. I'm like, I gotta fix this. Same thing with TikTok. I'm putting things on TikTok and then it talks back. And I'm like, it's such a amazing learning opportunity if this is a learning style that appeals to you. But I use them, I don't wait until they're perfect anymore. I use them as learning to get to like enjoy it and enjoy the next thing and learn to do the next thing better too. So if you take that pressure off, it helps a lot.
Beautiful. I wrote my first paranormal romance almost exactly 5 years ago, and the market was different even then. We were just coming off of the high of paranormal, and everybody was saying at the time, oh, paranormal is going down, vampires are dead. Well, duh, they're already undead. But they're never dead. None of the tropes are ever dead. There's always a reader out there for all of them. And so I think the caveat to that advice then is find that intersection, and this will appeal to most of you, but not everybody. Find that intersection of what you love to write with what readers love to read. And those are the books that sell. The books that were, I love this dragon shifter stuff. I almost swore. I love curvy girls discovering that they are special too. I love that. And then I found readers who loved that, and they gave me feedback on, oh my God, I love this or this or this. Then write more of that. And that is my advice to not just newbies, but everybody. That intersection is magic.
I just wanted to add to that. Yeah, I mean, I think if you really love what you're doing, that really resonates on the pages. You know, you put your emotions into it, and sometimes when you just write to market, that gets lost. I believe. I think you can really tell an author who loves her genre and loves that style of book. And you can love more than one style of book, which means you can write more than one style of book. I'm just saying, love what you're writing. If you're not feeling what you're writing and you're struggling, pretty much guarantee that, you know, it's not your best writing. So, you know, yeah, I think love what you do.
Except for those moments when it's trash and you're trash and everything is trash. But, you know, that comes and goes. You're fine. It's fine. You're fine.
The feeling pass. Take 2 aspirin and lie down.
Yeah. Take a moment.
Yeah, and I would agree with what was just said. I started writing paranormal romance for the money. I wanted to make money because I started out writing books under my own name. We don't talk about those. They're languishing at the bottom of the pile on Amazon because I didn't know how to market. But that was the best advice that I got was, you know, look at what's selling, look at several different genres, and then find one that's in your wheelhouse, what you love to write, where that crosses over what's making money. If making money is your goal, it doesn't have to be. And I think that's what, because those books did well right away. I did write to market, I looked at the tropes, I did the research, but I also wrote something that I enjoyed. And they make me cry, they make me laugh. It's so sad how much I love my own books.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love that.
Okay, so then moving on, I'd like to ask everyone on the panel, what was the most important thing you did that helped you start getting traction and go from 3 figures or low 4 figures a month to, say, mid 4 figures, sort of the middle part of your career, if there was one? What kind of pushed you a little bit higher?
Build your newsletter. Legit, that is the biggest thing that I did. I did lots of things, bajillions of things. But I think one of the catalysts to the difference between when I was making 4 figures and when I was making 5 figures was I took my newsletter from, 2,500 people to 15,000 people. And my goal is, because I see this I'm a 6-figure author. I want to be a 7-figure author. All of the really high-earning authors that I know have newsletter lists that are over 100,000 people. That's where I'm going. That and Facebook ads.
No, I panicked. Thought we were going to her. You're ready. Go.
Okay. Okay, so I kind of took a different approach. I think the newsletter thing is great. Actually, which is weirdly, I don't have a massive newsletter. So, yeah, so that's... But yeah, exactly. I'm going to try that next. Watch this space. Yeah, so my thing was I'm very, very personable with fans, with my fan base. I have been since the day I started.
We just met and we're best friends.
Exactly. Yeah. So, this happens. I talk a lot. But so what I do is, now this is an example. 2 minutes spent on replying to one fan. Now, what this can do for you, and it just costs your time. What it can do for you is, say they have 10 of their favorite authors, but you're the only one that responded to their question, or you gave them the time of day. When they then get approached to ask, hey, what book do you recommend? Guess which one they're going to pick. They're going to pick the person that has given them the time of day. They're going to pick the person who they can put the face and the personality and your own personality to that book that they love so much. And, one person can recommend your book 10 times. And then those 10 people can recommend your book 10 times. And that is what happened for me without any advertising whatsoever. Now, I am a little nuts. I did invite 100 fans that I'd never met before to my house. I'm not recommending you do that because, oh, geez, that was a night. Yeah, you've got to remain some professional kind of barrier. I keep on being told 10 years later. But yeah, the beauty of that is I'm still meeting fans that have followed my entire career and still coming to all of my events. And they feel like friends. And like I said, they're the first people that will be like, you need to read this, you need to read this, even though they love other people's books. So that is the one thing that I will say worked for me. And obviously not everybody is comfortable putting so much of themselves out there. I just wear my heart on my sleeve, and I always have, so yeah.
I'm so excited for this question because I just got the traction, so buckle up. So what Aidy said, I've done a bajillion things. I've been publishing for, I want to say 3 years, writing for 12, just a quick 12 years, guys, I got it. But I felt like I tested so many things. I've been coming to these conferences. I'm doing all the things, and what was interesting is I would look at the data, and it told me nothing, and that sucked. And I kept going, well, why isn't anything working? And I just kept trying things and feeling like I was floating in this outer space land and didn't know what was going on. But I will say, keep doing that if you're doing it and just believe you're gonna click into something. And for me, that would be TikTok. I love TikTok. Anyone wants to talk TikTok? Hit me up. Because I remember vividly in March, I was with my parents and I was like, Mom, I'm making $500 this month. And I was so, celebrate every victory too, by the way, every single one you possibly can. Squeeze it and drink lots of champagne. Yes. And then the next month, I did a TikTok that I'm just gonna throw this up and not pay attention to it. And then I was like, what is that doing? And I had a $10,000 month. Yes, thank you. It's never the ones you work hard on. And it drops down. So the viral thing, it comes down, and I was like, oh, this is all very new and exciting. And then I went viral again in September. And then it popped me right back up, and I broke the top 100 in Amazon. And what I did with this, thank you. My she was proud about the 500, but this is cool too. But I am utilizing all the things. I have a newsletter, I have Hellions, I have all this, but I will say, if somebody just heard me go TikToks and go, oh God, don't make me do that, I would suggest you try something. And if you don't like it, don't do it. If you're not trying it because you're fearful, that's one thing, but I love TikTok. I have fun. And then I also do Facebook ads. So every time I had a spike, I was like, put more money in my Facebook ads. And then it spiked again. I was like, ooh, I'm staying higher, and I'm getting higher. And I'm still doing the same thing because I'm coming back down again. But I would say, don't force yourself to do stuff you really don't enjoy, but please try things even if you're daunted or it's frightening. So that's really served me very well.
I would definitely agree with that. I'm also a six-figure author, and I really hate doing social media. I had to admit this to myself this year, because I kept telling, you're going to do it. I'm going to do it. It was on my to-do list. You're going to do so much social media. You're going to do all this stuff, and I just don't. And I finally had to admit to myself, I hate social media, because I'm very introverted, and it sucks a lot of my energy to interact with all those people. Now, when fans message me, if they email me, I do email them right back, because I feel the same, that if somebody reaches out to me, I at least want to acknowledge that. I want to talk to them. But as far as being on social media every day, it just sucks the life out of me. And also, getting a website has been on my to-do list for 6 years. I'm just hiring somebody to do it now. I'm not recommending you do that, but my point is that I'm still a six-figure author without doing those things. What I do is Amazon ads, which keep my backlist going. And I even hate to say what put me from mid five figures to six, because when it happened, this is the first thing I thought, people are going to ask me how I did it, and they're not going to want to hear this, because what it was BookBub featured deals, which you can't control at all. But then I realized they worked the way they did for me when I finally, and submit regularly, every single month, first in series, all your series. You can do that more than one at a time. Because when I finally got one, I had all of my series spin off from each other. And they picked my very first book. This is my gateway drug book. So if people get into that, a lot of them just read through my whole list. And that is what happened. But I had my back matter set up to pull everybody from book to series to series. I had set up my books so that the next character's already set up in the previous book, or even the ones from the next series, because it's a spin-off. So I had done a lot of work to get my read-through. And it wasn't even the BookBub feature deals themselves, it was the read-through that I got, the page reads. I could see, like, every couple days, the rank on the next book would jump up, and the next one, and the next one, and then the first one of the next series. It was crazy. So even though some of the stuff that happens could be kind of accidental or not under your control, if you do the things that you can do that are under your control and that you enjoy doing, that you're good at. I'm pretty good at Amazon ads, so I do that. Facebook ads, we're still working on that. Yeah, but find what you're good at. Try everything so that you can find what you're good at and just double down on that.
I'm going to add to that with the try everything, because I feel like I've come to a million conferences and everybody's like, well, try a BookBub feature deal. I'm a paranormal romance author on Kindle Unlimited. I'm never going to get a BookBub. I got a BookBub last month. Anyone can get a BookBub. Sometimes it just takes some of us a lot longer to do it, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't try. Same thing with TikTok. Who wants to TikTok? I do, but not everybody does. Doesn't mean you can't get a viral TikTok. You might, but not if you don't try.
Yeah, and to go back that, because I'm also in Kindle Unlimited, and everybody told, one of the reasons I didn't try for a long time to get BookBubs, because everybody told me they don't take Kindle Unlimited authors. That first year when I finally started submitting regularly, I got 5 BookBubs in 2021, and I've gotten 4 so far this year, because I just keep asking. I keep sending my books to them.
I didn't know that was a thing. I got one too. See, sometimes ignorance is bliss. Hey. I do love I'm going off the rails. Sorry. One of the best things that I think it would be really maybe heartening to some of you is what I learned from TikTok is there are no rules. And that has been the most freeing thing, because I was trying to do a book a month. I don't want to do a book a month. Some friends were doing it. Crazy. But I watched one book go so viral on, several people have one book go viral. Nikki St. Croix does the Lost Boys series. Those books are this big, and she must be making millions of dollars. And she goes, I will never write longer books. And I'm like, yes, do whatever you want. And also with what I think is going to work and what I don't really care about, TikTok is so all over the place that I actually can't predict what's going to happen, which frees me from trying to do something specific. It just helps me do what I feel like doing. But if you're pay attention to the stories that you're telling yourself of, well, this can't happen, and I have to do it this way, because it's all made up, and there are no rules.
That's just so awesome. I just want to say that, because I was always like, I have to do it by the rules. So it's been hard for me to get away from.
And they can be good to get you closer. Like, it can get the needle there. It can give you structure. It can give you things to try, which is good. But when you start to pigeonhole yourself and get despair that it's not working, then you need to remind yourself it's just another thing to try. There's a million things to try, there's a million ways it can work, and that's really the part of the beauty of what we do.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna do one more question for the panel that I'm gonna give you, and then we're gonna open it up to questions from y'all. So if you have a burning question, start thinking about it now. And if you don't have any questions, we'll just keep talking because we do that. Okay. We took some questions from the 20Books Facebook group, and one of the things a few people asked about was how to market in more niche subgenres, YA, sweet, paranormal romance, or something that's not, vampire shifters, fae. I wanted to give everybody a chance to maybe speak to that, see if you have any suggestions.
I mean, I am super niche. I only write curvy girl heroines, but that still appeals to more than just people who look like me. I have a lot of readers who aren't curvy girls that still read those books. But the way that I market, bless you, the way that I market is to find the things that I love about my books, and that's what I talk about in my marketing. Because then I'm finding the people who want to read books that I write. You're not gonna appeal to everybody. That's just not a thing. You're not for everybody. You're for those people that like that same stuff that you like. I almost swore again. So what is it that you love about your books, or that you think readers love about your books if you're a drafter? What that scene, like that first kiss scene, or that meet cute scene, or whatever that scene is that you're like, I love this book. Put that in your marketing with a picture of a hot guy.
That always works. Hot guys.
Hot guys.
Hi, guys. I struggle with this one because I think I am my own niche. It's just got like a special brand of chaotic going on over here. But when I did want to write to market in general, I did do the thing where I had the series that wasn't to market, and then I talked to some people who know how to do it to market, and I wrote a list of like, how many of these tropes can I shove inside what I'm going to write? And then I wrote them, but I wrote them how I wanted to write them, and I was like, yeah, I can write it. She's a vampire, shifter, grim reaper, shifter, all the things. Who likes puppies, So again, that's one of those things where like your brand, you are your brand as well, but having tropes helps. I do enjoy one of the things about TikTok, or I'm sure Instagram and other book people are saying, I love that they're like, I'm going to do a video. This is the list of all the things I love. And I go, I could write that. I'll write that. It's like I get a Santa's list of what I'm going to write next. And if I don't like it, I don't write it.
Kind of dreading this question. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, in the early days, obviously, I kind of did everything because that's what you have to do. You have to, wear many hats, and that's fun. But you have to keep learning, and I think that's the one thing I've learned myself is that, you've got to be open to learning lots of different things and trying lots of different things. And I mean, I was really, really naive when I started. I did not do my research. So when I'm telling you, the advice is do your research. Don't do what I did. I think I was just incredibly lucky that I kind of, wrote what I loved, and it worked. But I didn't have the kind of guidelines that a lot of people kind of, conventions is great, just taking the first step and coming here and learning all you can. I wish I'd have had that, to do when I first started. I feel like I've not answered the question, and I've just reeled off onto something. I hope something I said made sense anyway, so I'm going to pass you back.
Anastasia, I want to say one more thing because you reminded me. We talked about the other night. One of the things that I think that you can do, especially when you're in a niche, a little tiny niche, what is the fantasy that you're selling to your readers? You might not know right now. You might need to ask somebody else. But what is the fantasy that you're selling? Market that, because there's somebody who has that fantasy.
What is the fantasy you're selling?
The fantasy that I sell is that curvy girls get hot guys too. I almost swore again.
Tell them the fantasy I sell.
Holly sells the fantasy that badass girls are even badassier when they find the guy that they love.
I just learned this. Yay me.
Now go sell that fantasy.
I totally agree with that. And there's also, see now, I shouldn't have left myself for last because I'm the bearer of bad news, which is you have to also, you have to learn how to do your research, find out how to find the Amazon bestseller, Kindle bestseller lists. You know, you can go in through those 3 little categories at the bottom of your, you know, product page where it says where you're ranking 3 different categories. You can click on one of those. That takes you, there's a sidebar that has, I can't go through it all now, but you need to learn how to do that. And you need to, there's books people teach how to do that, how to look at what the rankings are in the different subgenres, which shows you how well the people in there are doing, how big the market is. Because you also have to be realistic. I don't want to discourage anyone from writing what they love, but if you come to me and say, well, how do I market my Civil War, dark, sloth shifter romance, you know, the first thing I'm going to say to you, is that a thing? Like, can you go on Amazon and find people making bank writing these kind of books?
Somebody please write that.
Right, okay. But if you can't, then there's a good chance there is not a market for that book. And I don't want to harsh anybody's happiness there. And still try to do all the things. You could be a trailblazer. But keep in mind, the smaller, you know, or the more sort of off the beaten path you are, there may not be a market for that. And you're going to have to work a lot harder to sell that book. So that was depressing. So now I'm going to ask you all for questions. Does anybody want it? There's a microphone right there if anybody would like to ask us a question.
I'm just going to caveat, I don't think that's depressing because the answers are already very apparent and easily in reach. So when you're doing something like that, you are reaching further, so reach a little closer. So hopefully that feels better. Not depressing, it's great. I'm toxically positive.
I just wanted to know what email company you use for your newsletters.
I started with MailerLite. No, I started with MailChimp. Then I moved to MailerLite. They're fine. I mean, there's not a good answer. Any mail company that you use will work fine. MailerLite is, I hope they're not watching. They're too expensive. But they're fine. But any of them, there's, what's the one that's like $19 a month? Somebody knows. Flowdesk. There's lots. They all work fine. It doesn't actually matter which one you use. It's the one that your brain, can work with.
I did, yeah. Oh,
If you have something to add, fine, but if not,
I have nothing to add. MailerLite, cool.
I was just going to say, yeah, well.
Hi. So, full transparency, I was in the bathroom, but when I came back, I said to my co-author, hey, any nuggets that I missed? And she's like, yeah. She said something about if you get like a viral TikTok, and then she advertised on Facebook, and I went, well, and I went, the F? So, if you could
Sup.
expand upon that, because I don't see how those two things could be related.
Fair enough. Well, it's this idea that everything we do supports each other. You have a newsletter, you have a Facebook group, you do ads, you publish more books, how fast do you publish them, the covers. Like, everything adds to each other.
Oh, so the ads just help
Right.
what's already being propelled.
Exactly.
It didn't directly affect
To be
each
clear,
other.
and I should have said this, to illuminate the glorious struggle, I was doing Facebook ads for, I think, a year, maybe a year and 3 months or so, and I was breaking even the entire time. Did not care because I was teaching myself ads. I was learning them, and I'm like, as long as I'm not losing a bunch of money, we're cool. And it's like, I got $10 a day. I lost $10 today. That was a very long time. But I had them. And so when my TikTok went viral and I sold a bunch of books, I'm like, I know these are doing all right. I'm going to shuffle some more money towards that. And then when I went, like, it brought me to a new baseline. And
Gotcha.
for me, I'm learning TikTok. I haven't reached critical mass, like maybe, excuse me, not maybe, when everyone else starts doing the work and talking about my books for me, it will probably be easier. But right now, TikTok is very volatile for me, and Facebook ads create a new baseline. So and then I went viral again. I put more money towards the Facebook ads. But again, it's not like that's a magic formula. That's what's working for me, but they all contribute to each other. You just got to find yours.
And can I just add to that? So Facebook ads as well work extremely well if you have a series as well. Like, you know, when you're thinking, when you only have to advertise one book, but that will then lead you on to lots of book sales, that also makes a massive difference. So I only advertise my first books in my series. There is no point advertising your fourth book that's coming out in the series because you want to drive your fan base will already read that book. You need to drive new sales to book one, and that is where I think, you know, some people, you know, they think they got a new book release if it's in a series. Oh, hello. Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm holding the bottom. I got told not to do that. Never hold the bottom, apparently, unless you're writing a steamy romance. But yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah. I should probably stop right there. So I put this down.
Hi, ladies. Where do you think the distinction is between paranormal romance and fantasy romance?
I asked that question for so long. Okay, I'm excited to hear what everybody else has to say. I asked for 3 years, and I got different answers from everybody. It was very frustrating because I was like, am I urban fantasy? Am I paranormal romance?
Exactly.
And I think the one that I heard most consistently was paranormal romance is dual POV. It's not always dual POV. There's more romance in it. I still don't know. I'm passing it on. I'm just very vindicated by this question.
I think that's the problem. I think, you know, I mean, mine just end up crossing over, and I just never even think about it. I never even go stop and go, oh, actually, I'm crossing over. I'm crossing the streams. Crossing the streams worked for the Ghostbusters. That's all I'm saying. So, you know, sorry, geeky reference there. But yeah, I mean, mine, you know, they probably start out as paranormal romance, but I've got thriller elements in there. I've got, you know, mystery elements in there. I've got lots of horror in there. And then when my stories end up getting into hell and there's battles and, you know, dragons and all sorts of weird and wonderful things, where do you then say, oh, you know, oh no, this crosses over to this and this crosses over to that? It's all the same story, you know, so you've got to be able to have the freedom. I swear, I'm not touching the bottom. Am I? No. You've got to have the freedom to be able to do that.
You said, when do you choose? And I think that was part of it for me. I just chose. I'm like, that identity is better, and that's what I went with.
I think the lines are really, really blurred, and they're getting more and more blurred with every book that comes out. And I also think it doesn't actually matter, because you're still just going to find the readers that like what you write.
That's what I was going to say, because those are for a lot of my books, those are my two main categories, paranormal romance and fantasy romance. So I just sell under both and call it a day. I don't even try to figure out what would be different.
Thank you.
Hey ladies, so quick question about, Aidy, you mentioned how large your newsletter was, and my thought was, I know you're all in Kindle Unlimited, do you do a lot of direct sales? Or are you most of your profits is that from Kindle Unlimited? Do you do direct sales? Like, what are you looking at in terms of where you market your products?
I do not do direct sales because I don't want Amazon to get mad at me. Yeah. But I do have a Patreon. And so if people want things from me that are not available on Kindle Unlimited, they can get them from me there.
Mm-hmm.
I mostly don't, besides Amazon being mad at me, I don't do it because I hate to mail shit. Sorry, I swore. Damn it.
I mean, like before, like there's like a whole movement now to put things out into direct sales before you put it into Kindle Unlimited.
That is my
I was just
Patreon.
wondering.
Absolutely. So my Patreon is based on you get to read my entire story as I write it, which I realize is uncomfortable for some people, but it works perfectly for me because I
Yeah.
get feedback. You read my story as I write it. You get the entire thing. You get the ebook a week before the book comes out on Amazon, and then everybody else reads it in Kindle Unlimited. Whee! Extra money every month for me.
Okay.
And happy fans.
Yes.
Pass. I have nothing to add. Sometimes I sell signed books on my website. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I was just going to say, I think that's the only thing that I would sell on, I sell signed books on the website along with merchandise and things like that. It hates me. I'm not touching your ass. I'm like, sorry. Yeah, so in regards to, I would be terrified of it going out. Yeah, so you're brave. Yeah, respect.
Yeah, I don't do any direct sales. I just do Amazon. I make 75% of my income on Kindle Unlimited and the rest regular sales, and that's about all I can handle because I'm really impressed with people doing Patreon and Kickstarters and stuff, and it just like makes me want to sit down and cry. I'm so overwhelmed.
Pineapple,
Me
we got
too,
1
me
minute.
too.
We have time for one more question, but I at least will be around afterwards
I'll
if
stay.
people want to come up and ask.
Okay. So last year I was here, I was in urban fantasy, and they were talking about midlife paranormal being a strong suit that's coming in. And I think I've started to see that more. Can you guys comment on that? Is that a strong niche?
It's still like paranormal women's fiction is really huge. It's still really big. It's not quite what we do because it's not romance focused. It's more women's fiction, and but yeah, it's as far as I've seen, it's still really big.
Yeah, it's not at the like peak of its hot new trendy niche, but there's still plenty of people make plenty of money in PWF.
Does it cross under then women's fiction or go under paranormal then? would you say?
Paranormal.
Okay.
Yeah, I would also say as well, I mean, it is trends. It's always going to be trends. If you've got a hot new vampire series coming out on TV, and you write vampire, your sales are going to go up because it does. It starts that trend. So, yeah, I think looking out for those if you can, and you want to write to market, it probably would help you as well. So, yeah.
Well,
You did so
we
good.
have
15 seconds.
16 seconds left, so I think it's time for us to wrap it up. So thank you so much for coming, and thank you to the panel. You guys are awesome.
Oh, we can leave.